Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. Hello, and welcome in to episode 128 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Today's episode is called Your Next Step Made Simple, and we're actually going to be talking about something a little bit different than usual today. So if you have been listening for a while, you probably already know that I offer some free resources and some paid ones too. I'm sure you've heard me mention the Secret Sister Circle before, or maybe you've seen a link in the show notes to something else that I offer. But I promise you, you don't know about everything. And there may be some things that actually surprise you. So today I'm going to share with you all there is to choose from, all of the offerings from Married to Addiction, and how to know which thing is actually right for you right now. So my hope is that by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where to go next instead of feeling unsure or maybe even overwhelmed by the options. I'm also going to have some special offers for you along the way for podcast listeners only, so keep an ear out for those. Now, I want you to also keep in mind that my products do change over time. So what I'm going to be sharing today is what's available at the time of recording, but you can always head to the Married to Addiction website if you are listening to this in the future to see what is currently being offered. And of course, that is at marriedtoaddiction.com. So let's go ahead and hop into it here. So we're going to start with the free resources because this is the place where most people start when they find me. And I want to let you know what all I do offer for free. So first of all, you've already found one of my main free resources since you're here listening to the podcast, and I'm so glad that you are. But I have some other free resources too that I wanted to make sure that you also know about. So the first one is called the Turning Point Toolkit. So every lesson and tool inside of it is actually pulled directly from the Secret Sister Circle. And inside that toolkit, you will get two lessons. One is called Common Pitfalls, and one is called The Art of Healthy Detachment. Those were both pulled directly from the SSC, as were the two tools that are in the toolkit as well. Those are called the 10-minute reset and feet on the floor grounding. So this free toolkit bundle is perfect for you if you are someone who feels stuck in the same patterns, whose mind races and replays conversations, or somebody who just wants a couple of practical tools to help calm your body down in the moment. So think of this as kind of a sample of what deeper support could look like for you. This is a really good place to start. You can actually get that at turningpointtoolkit.com, or you can just go to my main website, marriedtoaddiction.com, and find it there under free resources. The second free resource I wanted to talk about is my blog. So my blog has been moved as of a couple months ago. You can now find it over at marriedtoaddictionblog.com. And this is where you can find, of course, written guidance around all kinds of topics and situations that are relevant to the life of the wife of an alcoholic. So everything from recognizing the signs of a drinking problem to navigating your faith through all of this. So if you like reading sometimes instead of listening, the blog is a great place to go dig in. And again, that is at marriedtoaddictionblog.com. The third free resource that I offer is actually something fairly new, and you can find that right there on the blog. It is a free guide called When You Feel Like You're Losing Yourself. So this one is for the woman who feels like she's slowly disappearing in the midst of her husband's addiction. So maybe you feel like you don't recognize yourself anymore because you're so consumed with managing him or managing the chaos or managing everyone in the house's emotions but your own. It's for those of you who feel like the version of you that existed before all of this is a stranger to you at this point. So this guide walks you through exactly that, how to start finding yourself again, even in the middle of everything, if it hasn't changed yet. And it's completely free, and you can grab it on any post on the blog website, or you can also go find it at marriedtoaddiction.com. Now I want to talk about some of the paid options. And first, I want to be honest with you about something. The entire Married to Addiction platform. So this podcast, the blog, All of the free resources are funded solely by the paid offerings that I offer. There are no investors behind the scenes. I don't get any ad revenue from my websites. That's why there are no ads on there. I do not have sponsorships. There is literally nothing else. So the paid programs alone are what keep this podcast going, as well as everything else that Married to Addiction has to offer. So if you have ever invested in one of my programs, I want to just take a moment to thank you, because you are literally what keeps this whole thing going for yourself and for other women too. So I want to briefly walk through each one of these offerings. There are some, like I said, that you probably don't even know about because some of them are kind of new. And I also want to share some limited time offers just for you podcast listeners as we go. So make sure that you are paying attention to grab those when they're mentioned. Please note also, real quick, just that I want to make sure that you are aware that all of my paid products are discreetly billed as women's ministries. So sometimes you just need a smaller place to start. So maybe you've already grabbed some of the free resources and you are kind of thinking about maybe trying on one of the programs for size, but you're not really sure where to start. So before we get to the bigger, more comprehensive paid programs, I want to tell you about one of the things that is new. So this is kind of something in between. It's called smaller steps. So sometimes maybe you don't feel like you're ready for the whole toolbox or all of the day by day help that some of the other things can offer you. You just feel like right now you just need one thing that speaks to exactly where you are today, right here, right now. So these smaller steps resources were created exactly for those types of scenarios. So they are also pulled from the Secret Sister Circle. It is content from the SSC broken down into smaller specific pieces so that you can get real help without having to sign up for the ongoing commitment right now if that's something that you feel like you aren't quite ready for. So with these smaller steps offerings, you buy them once and they're yours for the lifetime of the product. There's no expiration, there's no subscription. So I want to walk you through real quick what smaller steps offerings are currently available. And again, these could potentially change in the future or be added to in the future. The first is called the Triggered Tool. And this one is the smallest of the smaller steps offering, and it's also the least expensive. It actually only costs $1. So this is for the exact moment when your husband said something or did something, or you just caught him in another lie, something along those lines. And now your heart is racing, your thoughts are spinning, and you feel yourself starting to spiral. So this is a tool that can help you slow down and sort through what's actually happening instead of just immediately reacting in a way that you might not feel good about later. And I don't know if you have done that before, but I certainly did that on the regular when my husband was deep in addiction and always regretted it later. So with this one, it's just basically something to turn to right when you need it again and again. Again, it's just a simple single tool that you can use in those moments. The next one is called the Right Response Reset. And this one is also very inexpensive. Actually, all of the smaller steps are. That's the whole purpose, is to kind of give you more of an introductory offering to consider. So this one is $3. It is for the moment right before things go sideways. So instead of just feeling like immediately triggered, this is for when you feel the tension building. And maybe you have, been in an argument with your husband, or maybe it's even like the next day after an argument or something like that. But you basically are in a situation where you kind of need a second to think. It is a simple technique. It is different from the one that's in the trigger tool. This is something else, but this is a simple technique that is also pulled from the SSC, and this will help you basically give yourself some steady ground to stand on so that you are ready to respond in a way you'll actually feel good about. So again, if it's something that you feel like does need to be a conversation, but you're not exactly sure what to say, how to say it, if you need to say it, this is perfect for you. Again, it's called the Right Response Reset. The next one is a little bit more of a bundle. So this one is called, Is It You or Is It Him? So this one is $13, and this is for confusion, essentially. So the hours spent replaying the conversations in the middle of the night, all those times that you've wondered if you are overreacting, if you are being too sensitive, if you are somehow the problem. This resource is a bundle of things that helps you to understand what's actually happening and to start trusting yourself again. So if you feel like you're dealing with gaslighting in your marriage, this one is for you. The next one is called When You're Running on Empty. And again, this is a little bit of a bundle. It is also $13. This is for when you just literally feel like you're running on empty. It's for the kind of tired that you feel that sleep cannot fix, where even just getting through the day feels like too much. It includes guidance on what to do when you are completely spent. There is a 10-minute reset in there for you. And there is also a lesson on actually being able to find true rest as the wife of an alcoholic. So if your main descriptor word for yourself right now is tired when you're running on empty, is a smaller step choice for you. And then the last one, actually, there's two more. The next one is called What Am I Actually Dealing With? So this is for those of you who are trying to figure out exactly what is going on with your husband. Does he have a problem? Does he not? Is he an alcoholic? Is he not? It helps you understand alcoholism for what it actually is, to recognize what's often the accompanying toxic behavior that comes along with that for what that is, and to also stop being blindsided by lying and deceit that so often comes with it. So if you are struggling with any of those things, wondering if it's a problem, being able to truly understand what's going on with drinking and what's kind of the underlying issue there, recognizing and dealing with toxic behavior and lying and deceit, this is definitely the choice for you. The next one, which this one is actually the last one of the Smaller Steps products, this one is called Together in Transition. This one's been around for a little bit longer than these others who are brand new. So you may have heard me mention this before, but this one is $27. It's a little bit bigger of a program. It is a workshop and a workbook. So this one is for those of you whose husbands are new in recovery. So for example, he is either in treatment or he's just come home from treatment, or he enters a period of active recovery, maybe at home, he starts going to AA, he's really trying to stop drinking, etc. And suddenly you realize you have no idea what to do on your side of things. I remember when my husband came home from the treatment center, I was not prepared for what happened next. And you may have heard me talk about that in previous episodes, but I honestly had no idea that this new chapter that I had waited for so long would come with its own entirely new set of challenges, different from anything that we had faced before. So this package, Together in Transition, as I said, it's a workshop with an accompanying workbook. It is a one-time payment of $27. And in that, I share everything I wish I had known back then, things that would have made it easier, not just for me, but for my husband, for our kids, etc. It also includes some additional resources to help support you through this period of transition if your husband has chosen recovery. So you want to choose this one, whether this is his first time getting help or maybe it's another attempt after a few tries. It's just basically for when you are standing in that strange place of having hope, but being terrified. You're kind of in this in-between space, not really sure what's going to come next. So this one is definitely for you if you are finding yourself in that place. So every one of these Smaller Steps products is completely private. They are on a member site that you have to log into to access. They are, of course, as I said, billed discreetly as women's ministries, and they are accessible only to you. And you do not have to have a Secret Sister Circle. You don't have to be a Secret Sister Circle member to use any of them. These are completely standalone products. Now let's talk about some of the more comprehensive paid offerings that I have. There are 3 of them. The first is called the Married to Addiction 30-Day Online Program. So this is what I kind of think of as my Life with an Alcoholic 101 program. So this is a one-time payment of $127, and this $127, not $1.27, $127, and it's designed to give you a general overview of navigating life with an addicted husband. So we talk about the emotional side, the practical side, and the faith side. So this is a self-led online program. You can make it through it in 30 days if you do one section a day, or you can also take it slower if that's what you need. There's no real timeline on it. There's no pressure either way. You will want to choose this program if you're kind of earlier in this journey and you want a solid foundation, just basically a general, like, here's what you need to know resource that covers all of the basics really well for you. So you can learn more and get that Married to Addiction 30-Day Online Program at marriedtoaddiction.com. And right now, you can use the code podcast for 30% off that program for a limited time. So if you were interested in that, make sure you remember to use the code podcast at checkout. Next is the Boundaries mini course. So this one is obviously much more specific. So this one is a one-time payment of $47, and it literally exists for one reason, and that is to help you actually understand and create healthy boundaries with your alcoholic husband. So many of us hear that we should set boundaries, but it's a fuzzy concept until someone actually shows you or explains to you, what does that look like in real life? This mini course does that. It walks you through what the Bible says about boundaries, the number one misconception we as wives have about them, and then it helps you actually sit down and create some healthy boundaries of your own. So obviously you want to choose this one if boundaries are your specific sticking point. Maybe you've tried to set them before and they didn't work, or maybe you've just never really understood what a healthy boundary looks like in a marriage like this. So this course exists just for helping you with that. You can learn more and get the boundaries course at marriedtoaddiction.com. And right now, again, if you use the code podcast, you can get 30% off the program for a limited time. Now I want to talk about the Secret Sister Circle. And I know you've heard me talk about it before, but I want you to hang in there with me for the explanation of it that I'm going to share with you today, because I think you'll actually realize that it's maybe a little bit different than what you thought it was. So the SSC is really the heart of everything I do, and it's what I consider my flagship program. So I built the Secret Sister Circle because I lived this. I spent years trying to manage my husband's addiction completely on my own, searching for answers wherever I could find them, in books, sermons, late night internet searches when I couldn't sleep. And at the end of all of that, it honestly cost me a lot more than I had anticipated. And I'm sure you've heard me talk about the ways that that affected me personally, physically, emotionally, spiritually in prior episodes. So when I tell you that I understand what you're carrying, I don't mean that I just read about it from the outside. I mean, I was there. I lived it just like you are. And here's what I learned the hard way. Knowing what to do and hearing what to do and actually being able to do it when the you know what hits the fan, as they say, are two completely different things. That is why I say so often on this podcast, knowing is one thing, doing is everything. So basically what happens when we learn a lot of things is we're like, yes, that sounds good. I really need to figure that out. I really need to do this. That sounds like it could really make a difference for me. But when it comes down to it, and when we're in it, and when your nervous system starts to spike and you are emotionally fueled, that knowing is out the window and the doing never happens. So one thing that I do want to mention, when I was searching for all this help back then, when my husband was just really, really deep in addiction, one of the things that I was really looking for is I wanted it to be from the perspective of a wife. Of course, I also wanted it to be faith-based. That was really important to me. But ultimately, I was looking for something from someone who was a wife, who was a Christian, that was still with her husband. I didn't find that. The closest I found was a wife who was not Christian, who was no longer with her husband. So I only want to share this because I think it matters to some of you, because it mattered to me. My husband did end up getting sober, and he has stayed sober, and we're married over 9 years later. A lot of the things that I learned along that specific journey are in the Secret Sister Circle. And I don't say that to promise you the same outcome, because of course, every marriage, every man, every wife, every story is different, and there is no guaranteed result here. But I have watched that same story play out like that for other women in the SSC on more than one occasion, on several occasions, in fact. Some of the goodbyes that I get in this program when people let me know they're leaving aren't because women have given up. It's because their husbands got sober. And so they simply don't need the SSC anymore. And that's the kind of goodbye that I celebrate every single time. So anytime that you're doing any sort of work like this, and anytime that a woman comes into the SSC, it sometimes can lead to real change in him too. But it will always lead to real change in you. So maybe some of those things sound familiar to you right now. Maybe you've read the books. Of course, I'm sure you've prayed. You've listened to maybe this exact podcast for months, for years. You know in your head that you're supposed to set a boundary or detach with love or stop checking his phone or any of the things that we've talked about, right? But you still can't make yourself do it when the moment actually comes. It feels too hard. If that's you, please hear me say, this is not a failure on your part. Knowing isn't the same as doing. And what's probably happening is nobody has really ever taught you how to close that gap. Now, maybe that's not you at all. Maybe you're earlier along than that. Maybe you don't even know what you're supposed to do yet. You just know you're drowning. And if that's you, that's okay too, because wherever you are in this journey or on this spectrum of being the wife of an alcoholic, the SSC was built for you. I built it the way that I did because I wanted to give you real, specific, in the moment help. Things that walk you through exactly what to do when you're standing in the middle of the hard moment itself. Not just what to think about it before or think about it afterwards, what to do in the moment. There are a lot of things in there that actually help you learn how to implement these things into your own life so you can actually do instead of just knowing. So, a lot of the specific lessons and tools are described in a lot more detail on the Secret Sister Circle page on the website. So, I'm not going to go through all of that here, but just know that I promise you that it is built for real specific moments of this life, not vague encouragement, actual help. So, this is a monthly program. It is $34 a month, which honestly, if you think about it, that's less than the cost of one fast food meal for your family these days. And the SSC is structured completely differently than the other programs. So the 30-day program and the boundaries course are something you go through once, start to finish. The SSC isn't like that. So it is ongoing so that it will be there for you the next time and the time after that and the time after that that you need it. Because this isn't a problem that you solve once. Maybe right now where you're at, you're going to need one set of solutions. Maybe in 6 months, you'll need another. Maybe in 1 month, you'll need another. Maybe in a week, you'll need another. So this basically offers something that you can use as you're living through this again and again. Because I feel like you deserve support and you need support that lives in those hard times with you. Because this is an ever evolving journey, and something that you need today might not be something that you need in the future. And I also want to say this because I know that some of you have already tried searching for help in every direction you can think of. Maybe you have read every article. Maybe you've asked every question you know how to ask. You've been like me and you've typed stuff into a search bar at 2 a.m. hoping that something would finally help. But what it almost certainly didn't do, whatever help you found before, is to give you the perspective of somebody who actually knows your story and has lived it, and who is actually there with you in those moments. That's the piece that's been missing, and that's what the Secret Sister Circle is. Now, I want to talk about the connection piece, the private group piece, because connection can mean different things to different women. So I want to speak to a couple of different types of women right now. So aside from all of the direction that the Secret Sister Circle lessons and tools provide, there is a private group that goes along with it that a lot of women find really helpful. However, if you are the kind of woman where the idea of joining a group and sharing your story with other women makes you want to run the other way, I hear you. I was like that back when I was going through this. And that would not have been something that was attractive to me. So I want you to know if that is you, that is not required. The heart of the Secret Sister Circle is the member site with the library of the lessons and tools. And that is available to you on your own terms whenever you need them. And you can use every bit of that without ever having to even join the SSC private group. But if, on the other hand, you are a woman that does long for that really wants to have the feedback and the encouragement and the understanding of other women who totally know this life because they're going through it too, who you can be prayed for by and be lifted up by and be understood, and a place where you really do feel like you have community, that's here too. You can even participate in the group completely anonymously if you'd like. You don't have to put your real name. You're not required to do a profile photo. So you can still get the comfort of being known by other women and encouraged by other women who are going through this without ever being exposed. So it kind of runs the gamut as far as the private group is concerned. You can go from just not joining it and having access to everything else, which is basically like 90% of the SSC, or you can join the private group anonymously, where you can share whatever's on your heart and whatever you need some encouragement around or some help with, without having to give your personal information. Or if you're comfortable with that, it is a private group on a private platform that you have to be approved to join. So if you want to share your real first name and a picture and whatever, you're welcome to do that too. There are women in there who do all three things. But I want you to realize that that is not required if it's not something you're comfortable with, and it is there for you if that is something that you want. So everything in the SSC is private. The private group, the portal that you have access to only by logging in, and as I've said, it is even billed discreetly. So if you would like to check out the SSC, first of all, if you want to see some of what's inside, some of the specifics around the lessons and the tools, the specific things that we do talk about and topics that we deal with, I want you to head to the SSC page that's linked in the show notes. Or if you can remember, it's easy to remember, website address, it's secretsisterscircle.com. And I encourage every one of you to do that because it costs you nothing just to go look. But it could cost you a lot if you pass this by when it's potentially something that can make a big impact on your life and perhaps your family's life, both now and in the future. Also know you can try it free for 7 days. So before you're ever charged anything, you can take that week. You can see if it feels like something that's a right fit for you. And if it's not, you can cancel. So the bottom line is that you will want to choose the SSC if you want somewhere that meets you where you are with real specific guidance built exactly for this life and also walks you through living it out in the hard moments. Plus, offers support of other women who are going through this right now too. That is exactly what the SSC offers. As I said, you can learn more at secretsistercircle.com. And for a limited time, use that code podcast at checkout and you get your first month for $5. So that's after your free trial. You get 4 more weeks, your first month for $5. So that's essentially your first 5 weeks for just $5. If you'd rather use that code for an annual membership for the yearly option, you can do that too. If you use the code podcast at checkout and you buy an annual membership, you will get 30% off the whole year, which already gives you 2 months free. The yearly membership includes 2 months for free. So you would also get 30% off on top of that. So that is a great deal. If that's something that you have thought about, please, again, go check out the website, see a little bit more about it. And if you decide you want to join us in there, use the code podcast at checkout. So which one of the things that we've talked about today is right for you? I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible as we wrap up here. So if you're not sure yet, or you just want to kind of test the waters first, start with either the Turning Point Toolkit or the Losing Yourself Guide. Those are both free, gentle places to begin. If you need just one small thing for one specific moment, panic after a trigger, the exhaustion, the confusion, etc., grab one of those new smaller steps resources. Those allow you to start small with no commitment required. If you're newer to the journey and you want a good general foundation as a whole, start with the 30-day program. If boundaries specifically are your struggle right now, you'll want to go straight to the Boundaries mini course and grab that. And if what you really need deep down is somewhere to go again and again, that can help you now, that can help you in the future with no matter what pops up, that will not only tell you what to do, but help you to actually do it, that's the Secret Sister Circle. And above all, just know that there is no wrong door to walk through here. Every single one of these was built for you from a place of having lived this myself. So you don't have to figure out the next 10 steps today. But I do encourage you to take just one. So I'm going to put links to every single thing that we talked about in the show notes. So just go take a look through those links, go check them out and see what calls to you. And also know that wherever you are in this journey right now, you are not alone and you don't have to keep doing this without support. There is free support. There is paid support. There is a lot of support there for you. So I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, I encourage you to take care of you. And that includes getting some support for yourself in whatever way feels best for you right now. Quick question for you before I let you go today. Have you been to the Married to Addiction website? If you haven't, I would love if you would go pay it a visit. It's just marriedtoaddiction.com. And over there, you can see just a lot of different information about my podcast. There is a blog on there. There's some free resources for you. And there's also a few ways that you can actually get some help if you need a little more help and direction and support as you travel this difficult path with your addicted husband. So if you haven't yet, please go visit marriedtoaddiction.com. Thanks so much.